Okay, greetings and good afternoon to all. We truly appreciate your time and interest in participating in this webinar titled Exclusive Access to Build Future-Ready Work-Based Learning and Apprenticeship Programs. Today, we are so happy to have with us Luis Olivares. He's the Apprenticeship Hot Director in Puerto Rico. And we announced that Carlos Vasquez was supposed to be with us. Unfortunately, he have an situation out of the sudden, but he is well represented by Roger Rodriguez, and he will, when he start work talking, he will give you more information about him. So thank you both for your valuable collaboration with this initiative to help us support the faculty, administrators, and students as part of the HEAD's mission to promote the integration of technology into higher education. Today, more than 100 participants registered from more than 20 higher education institutions in Puerto Rico and school, and we also have participants from member institutions in the US and some from organizations. So greetings to all. We hope that this webinar will be of great benefit to everyone. Before we start the webinar, we would like, as usual, to share a few things. So Isarif, if you go to the next slide. For your convenience, Bella, we have available simultaneous translations. To activate the feature, click on the pop-up that you will see on the chat of Worley. Worley is an AI service that we have. So please make sure that you activate this to help you translate if you need translation. Also, in the next slides, of course, to benefit from this, use the chat to share your questions of and your comments, since the audio to avoid any interruptions is mute for everyone. And if you are allowed to unmute yourself, please we ask you kindly to keep your audio mute. Thank you so much. And also, in the next slide, again, to avoid interruptions, keep your microphone mute. And to access the link in the chat to request your certificate or participation, in the next slide, you can use the link that we will put in the website. Please make sure you have your mute your audio, please. If we can hear you, I don't know, Isar, if you can check who is the person and move to the next slides. I will apologize for this. Uh, After we've in that QR code, you can please send us your information, complete the form. Please make sure that your email and your name is correct so you can receive the certificate of participation. Remember that after we finish the webinar, you will receive an email also with the link to complete a short electronic survey to help us evaluate this webinar and help us identify which head services and initiative can support not only you as faculty and administrator, but also your students. This survey is anonymous, and we estimate that to complete it is around 5 minutes. So we will appreciate your time in completing this survey because your feedback is very important for us. We also want to invite you to spread the word and help us invite others to benefit from our events and webinars. And in the next slides, you will see that we are inviting all of you that want to know how to teach Access by Design to register or enroll free of charge to this course that is divided in 3 different models. The first model starts in March 6, 7, 17, so you still have time. And each model is divided in 4 weeks, so you have plenty time to do this online self-paced course at your convenience. So please be sure to register and receive the access to participate of this interesting workshop. It's free of charge, and it will be a combination in English. The materials are in English, but we'll have some sessions that will be coordinated once you are in the course in bilingual. Okay, so the next event that we are having is a webinar in Spanish on March 28, and the title is Decisiones Inteligentes, Estrategias y Herramientas para Elegir con Éxito. This is focused more to students, but we invite all of our members, including faculty and administrators, because we definitely know that this topic is very useful for everyone. If you're a faculty, please invite your students to stay with us and to register to connect. And the next webinar that we have is also in Spanish. It's going to be in April 25, and the topic is Desarrolla competencias profesionales y prepárate para tu industria antes de graduarte. And this will be also focused for students, but definitely all of you are invited. And Dr. Walter Vasquez from Universidad Interamericana de Puerto Rico, will faculty law, School of Law, will be offering this. In the next slide, you see that we also usually promote these access that are free of charge, 24/7 available from our website under the Student Placita. And this is access to databases like the Peterson test spreads to find scholarships, practice tests, and the ebooks to get prepared for those tests. And the tests include the PCAT, the LSAT for law school, the GRE, the NCAT, the NCLEX, among other resources. And if you don't know how to access, in the next slide, show you very quickly that you go to the heads.org website, and in the next slides, Isaris, please, you will see that you just go to the Student Placita, and in the Student Placita, you look for the link of Peterson test spread, and if you click on the name of your institution, if you don't know the name of your institution, please let us know, and we would send us an email at info@hes.org, and we will definitely help you with that. I don't, okay. And the also one back, please, because I don't know what happened. We also have the access to the Peterson Career Prep to search for jobs and internship, create your resume, and find career advice, among a lot of other resources. And the access is the same. Go to the Student Placita in the page heads.org, click on the Peterson Career Prep and look for the name of your institution and put the password. If you don't know the password, send us an email again. So with this in mind, I'm finishing my, go to the next slide, because unfortunately Carlos is not here and we didn't know that Roger will be accompanying us. So I will read the information about Luis Olivares, who is one of our speakers today. And then Roger, please, you speak a little bit more about yourself. About Luis, let me share a little bit information of his really extensive professional background. Luis is a seasoned consultant and research in emerging and business transformative areas, particularly data services, operational excellence, and design thinking. Luis holds an extensive experience with over 25 years across 200 and plus manufacturing and service organizations. He has led operational excellence initiatives in different corporations and organizations like FEMA, Toyota, Bacardi, Microsoft, and more. He, as a director of the Corporate College and Apprenticeship Center at the joint venture of Miami Tech and Ghost Road, he expanded registered apprenticeship programs in Puerto Rico. And as a former engineer in a higher education director, he excelled in workforce development, grant writing, and higher education. He holds a master in management system engineer and speaks at Global Industries Conference, driving innovation, efficiency, and change management. That's a summary of Luis' extensive background and experience. Isari, if you can stop sharing so we can have Luis. Luis, I don't know, the light, again, you look very dark. If you can move a little bit and you can start sharing your presentation. Roger, I know it's you. We already have up almost 60 participants here. So please go ahead. Remember the participants. In the meantime, Roger is sharing the presentation that you have. Worley, you will see in the chat the invitation to join Worley. That is the if you need translation, is the app that you need to open, and you will see the simultaneous translation. So go ahead.
Thank you, Yuvalkis, and welcome everybody here. I think somebody is asking about the transcripción en español, and we're bilingual. So Spanish is actually my first language, and are we more comfortable? I mean, changing to a Spanish, or is that a problem, Yuvalkis, also? Because I think everybody here is Spanish spoken.
We invite some institutions from US, and unfortunately, not all of them are bilingual as us. Let me
Okay,
see.
let's
I
keep
don't
it.
know.
Let's keep it in English.
Yeah,
Let's go
but
with
we
it,
have the
and then
translation. We have the translation. So it's just to click on the pop-up. Let me share again so you can have the translation with you. Okay, go ahead.
great. Thank you for introducing our team. Again, Roger here is part of our team, and there are several members of our team also joining the meeting. Roger, do you have the presentation?
Yeah, let me start
Ready?
off by maybe saying a couple of words about myself. I know it was his last minute. I'm filling in for Carlos, so you guys get a treat of me. Uh, so I am Roger Rodriguez. I am a self-taught software engineer. I am currently the Chief Technical Officer of Go Sprout. I am also served as the Apprenticeship Director for Miami EdTech, which is a nonprofit that helps spread education to underserved communities. I've been doing this. I've been CTO for about 3 years, and I've been in the workforce development world for about 10 years. And I'm very excited to share what we have today. So let me actually jump right into that. Now, this is going to be an interactive, as much interactive as we can get. So Lewis is going to be coming in and asking questions, and you guys can go ahead and put your answers in the chat. There's also virtual hands so that we can just raise our hands as we ask questions out loud, and we'll try to make it as interactive as possible for you guys, because I don't want you to sit here for 40 minutes and I'm just spewing a bunch of data at you and you're like trying to grasp on. So we'll have little breaks of interactivity throughout that presentation. Let me start sharing now my screen. Awesome. Cool. Is my screen sharing okay over there, Lewis?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, very clear.
So good afternoon, everybody. Our goal with this presentation is to convince you to partner with GoSprout to provide more value to your employer network and to help you bring more employers to the table. We're going to do this free of charge for you. That promise, there is no hidden agenda behind this, but when we talk face to face, we can get more in depth with that. But that is our goal with this presentation, to convince you to partner with us. So we are a higher education work-based learning infrastructure, and I want to go ahead and set the stage by asking a question so that we can get the idea of who this is for and how we provide value to employers. So my question is, everybody right now in your organizations or in your team, you have an A team player that belongs to you. Now, if this was the NBA, that would be like your Michael Jordan. If this was soccer, he would be like your Messi. So raise your hand if you know who that A team player in your organization is right now. Let me look at
Your virtual hand, right? So
your virtual hand. Yes, your virtual hand. I'm getting worried. I don't see any hands up. So hopefully you guys have some good people on your team. There we go. Okay. Nice. This is the time where I start pointing out who is your A team player, and people start shouting out people inside their team, but we're not going to do that. There's just too many of us. But I'm sure you have some good, awesome people on your team right now that are those A team players. Now, the follow-up questions I'll have to that. If you had more of this A team players, do you believe your organization or your team would be more productive? The answer is absolutely yes. Now, if you were to ask that question to employers, it wouldn't necessarily hit productivity, but it will be, would your business make more money? And you'll see, like, of course it would make your money. So the natural follow-up to this is, why are employers not looking for more of this A players? Or better yet, why are they not growing it internally for their institutions? So right now, we do have employers doing different types of programs to try to meet the skills gap that they are facing with this workforce problem. They do internships and they do apprenticeships. Now, we do have a chat here, so if you mind opening your chat, and if you mind just typing in there, if right now your organization provides internships or apprenticeships or both. And you can just type in there internship if you just have internships going on, apprenticeships if you know that there's apprenticeships going on in your institution, or you can just type both if you actually leverage both of these items. Wow, nice. Me la aprobaras both, very nice. No internships, no apprenticeships.
Interesting also.
Very interesting also. Internships from Alexander.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll give you a couple of more seconds here just to see what kind of audience we're working with. Okay, notice that I didn't put there as an option to say none, to not put anybody out there. So awesome. All right. So one of the key differences between both of these programs, and the one that I'll highlight the most, is that internships, the model is more learn before you earn, which is similar to what higher education model is, right? You go through your 4 years and then you go ahead and go into the industry and trying to find a job. But in the apprenticeship model, it's more earn while you learn. Very key difference. Now, here at Go Sprout and at Miami AdTech, we believe that apprenticeships is the superior solution of this too, for two reasons. The first reason is the return on investment that employers get for their apprentices. That is, every employer that spends $1 on an apprentice, they get $1.47 back to them. Two, it's a proven model with over a century of data backing up the results and the benefits. So what are those benefits that apprenticeships promise and that all this century of experience is backing up? Well, here are the apprenticeship benefits. I'll highlight a couple of them. Reduce recruitment and costs. Increase productivity. That is, help the employers become more hyper-focused on the competencies that provide return on investment for their business. Customized skill and development, wage progression to incentivize the new employee or the upskilled employee on hitting new competencies that are going to benefit the business. Enhance employer culture and morale. Because you're training these folks, because you're helping them level up to the next step, we know that people feel that they need to give back to you, and therefore they stay with you longer, which brings us to lower turn rates. The lower turn rates in businesses are crazy. We're going to look at some stats in a few minutes. Reduction in overtime costs. But I'm going to highlight that my favorite benefit of registered apprenticeship programs is access to incentives and grants. This is where the employers usually get really close to the screen and they start really hearing to what you have to say. But how are you going to reduce my low turnover rates? How are you going to reduce my recruitment costs? So here are some of the facts. Up to 90% of wage reimbursement per employee per year that's in a registered apprenticeship program. I'll say that again, 90% reimbursement to employers. What else? Well, we have up to 100% of tax reimbursement. That is tax credit that employers get for apprentices that they have going through a registered apprenticeship program. Now, these are the high numbers, and these numbers do change based on the locality of the employer. But these are some of the real numbers that are out there. So why doesn't everybody and their mama have a registered apprenticeship program? What's holding it back? Why don't employers go and register their program themselves? Why haven't higher ed institutions, all of them, why didn't we see everybody say apprenticeship, knowing that they can pitch this so well to their employer network? And the problem is this: even though if apprentices finish a registered apprenticeship program, 90% of them, up to 95% of them, will stay with that employer after the program is complete. The reality right now is that out of all those apprentices that go through the program, only 31% of apprentices actually finish a program. So there's a lack of support through the program. Two, skills gaps cost the US economy billions annually in lost productivity. So we see that there's a bunch of jobs and we see that there's a bunch of unemployment. What's going on there? How can we not fix that if there's such demand and there's such talent out there? The skills gap keeps getting bigger. Here's the turnover crisis that I was referencing to earlier. 30 to 50% of entry-level employees leave within the first year, driving up hiring costs. And you can see how this cycle goes on and on and on. Finally, those funding delays. So you saw those benefits that are amazing, right? Well, some employers experience up to 3 to 6 months of wait time to actually receive those benefits, whether they're tax credits or employee reimbursements for those apprentices that are in those programs. Why is that? The administrative complexities of registered apprenticeship programs, the paperwork you have to file, depending on what state or what locality you're in. So if you're in Florida, you're dealing with workforce, with Career Source. If you're in Puerto Rico, you're dealing with DDEC. If you're in, so you're all the different states. If you're in Texas, you're dealing with Workforce Texas Commission, right? So everybody has their own workforce development group that they have to go and request these funds from. Now, keeping it interactive here, this is the problem that we're trying to tackle. Now, have any of your organizations dealt with any of these workforce development groups to try to get funds from them? Simple yes or no in our chat will work.
And I think somebody already answered that they're working with apprenticeships, so definitely the administrative complexities are there.
Wanda, yes. Excellent. You know, there's some higher institutions that even have workforce development representatives inside the school. We see this in Indiana, where they have inside the university or the college, somebody from the workforce development arm, they're being able to help the students either place them in the on-demand jobs that the local economy demands. Yes, Krisha, great question. How do I get this? Excellent question. We're going to be tackling on this. We're going to be tackling that questions pretty soon. But this is the problem that employers are facing, and the reason why you don't hear apprenticeships like day and butter every day that you're out there, even though it has all these tremendous benefits for employers and for higher institutions. So, who are we? Why are we the guy? Why are we offering our services to help bridge this gap? Our CEO and founder, which couldn't make it today, he's actually flying from Chicago back down to Florida, has over 20 years of workforce post-secondary education experience. He's been in the higher ed institutions, and he's been on the workforce side, and he found that, hey, there's a way for us to close this gap. That closing of that gap, and he has dragged me through all of this process, by the way, is register apprenticeship programs. And through him and through our work, we have become register apprenticeship program experts. We have held register over a dozen register apprenticeship programs in the United States and territories. And we have been doing multiple applications. That would be in STEM, in construction, in health, anything that you can think of. There's over 398 registered apprenticeship occupations that you can grab and register. We also help bridge the gap between talent and opportunity. Talent is all of your students right now enrolled in your school. Talent is the employees that are sitting right now with that employer, looking to see what's the next career path for them. What's the next level up within the company? We help identify those individuals and match them to the positions that the employer is looking for to help grow that talent pipeline that they need so bad. Cool. So these are some of our partners and how we're making this actually happen. We partner with workforce development. So that means the DDECs, the career source, the TWCs of the world, right? All these workforce development agencies have their own process, very similar, but their own process on how to get funds for the registered apprenticeship programs. We have partnered with them so that we can understand those requirements and be able to easily fill them out automatically using the power of technology, of course. Some of those partners, of course, we highlight here are DDEC, the Workforce Development State Board members. We have Luis Olivares, of course, Apprenticeship Hub Director in Puerto Rico, which has registered, is on the way to register in 3 programs, if I'm right on that, Luis.
Yes. And we're showing one of the particular programs that we finished last year is Luma, where we partnered with Luma to develop a cybersecurity program of 3 years. So definitely, and it is a registered program where they can get funds for 3 years over that opportunity.
Excellent. Yeah. So we're going into year 3 of that program, and we're already talking about what's the next program that's going to be coming up.
Great.
Okay, so what is the real world impact that we have had? Luis already mentioned Luma Energy in Puerto Rico. We actually are working on another deal that I'm gonna hold my tongue. I'll let Luis see if he wants to disclose that. Obviously, we have Polytechnical University. We partner with high schools so that we can help create pipelines for employers all the way down at the K-12 level, and we'll see what that looks like in our next slide. We're in health, we're in construction. We have Volvo trucks that use us as well to manage their registered apprenticeship program. They actually have an award-winning apprenticeship program noted by the Department of Labor. Everything was being manually. It was taking really long to get feedback to employers. They went with us so that they can make that process easy for them. So our employers keep growing. So that brings us to, okay, now we know who the employers are. Who are these apprentices? Well, apprentices are folks filling gaps, high school graduates taking a gap year pursuing universities, and they want to explore different positions. Maybe they can take a 1-year apprenticeship in cybersecurity, like some of the folks in Luma, right? Maybe they can explore carpentry. Maybe they can explore some of this construction and solar energy incentives that are out there so far. We have seekers, high school graduates pursuing alternative paths. We have savers postponing college due to financial return on investment concerns. Some folks can't wait those 4 years before they start looking for a job, right? So there's new targets that we are analyzing that our higher ed partners are already targeting so that they can go ahead and move them based on their current skills, who will be a nice match for this employer in these different occupations. We have hackers, and I'm going to go ahead and identify with hackers myself. I did some college, and then after that, I just kind of created it myself, learned to program, started creating products, starting being in front of the sales and pitching just like I'm pitching to you guys. But this is not a hard pitch for me because we're here to offer free value to you. Explorers that just want to switch around, and of course, career switchers that are changing from one career to another. And we see this happen with incumbent workers inside of companies, such as Luma, where we have technicians moving into business analysts, business operations, right? So that they can start moving and finding the career ladies inside of the company that they're in. So we have different career paths that we find here. And here we're going to go ahead and ask one more time for in your organizations, to the best of your knowledge, which one of this most resonates with your folks that are in those internship programs, that are in those apprenticeship programs, or that are in both, for the folks that answer both.
Or as a matter of fact, are students actually going through different programs? So
yeah,
more than welcome different answers. While there are some answers getting in, I just want to add here that this slide truly talks to universities and colleges. in terms of the challenge that we have, because I'm in an actual college myself, yeah, and university. We have the challenge to provide students with alternative career path and so many solutions. For example, credentials, micro credentials. There's a new word out there where we can get the benefits through apprenticeships.
Absolutely. Now, I didn't see answers come in on there, and that's okay. We know that a lot of folks don't have insight into those programs themselves and the type of users that your organization is using to recruit into these programs, but that's okay. Here's the talent pipeline that I was talking about earlier, your work-based learning infrastructure. We're laying this pipeline in Miami as we speak. We have pre-apprentices that are right now enrolled in high school, and those pre-apprentices are going to be moving from those high school programs into their higher education alternative. This will be places like Miami-Dade College, where they can continue that education. Right now, we're doing it for AI and UX UI programs. So now we already are showing employers apprentices that are already in the K-12 system and saying, hey, do these folks have some of the skills that you're looking for to go ahead and help them get into the registered apprenticeship program once they finish the high school? So employers can already start tapping into this talent that's coming up. At the post-secondary levels, we already saw apprenticeships. We already saw internships. We also already saw simulated work experiences, mentorship for them to be able to find a career. So just to emphasize this a little bit more, federal funds are available right now, and you got to use them or else you send them back to the federal government, specifically WIOA funds that are not been touched, including by this administration. The administration that's currently in now has even propelled apprenticeships further. So this is a bipartisan agreement. That is, you can think of it as 50% goes to wage reimbursement for the employer while they're on the job, and 50% goes to the related technical instruction. That is it helps the employer pay for the classes the students are taking at your institutions.
Let me just add to that,
Yeah.
Roger, that actually right now I'm in Puerto Rico because we already have agreements coming in with several big manufacturing operations in Puerto Rico. So the challenge is, how can we move forward with this instead of not only big manufacturing operations, but also small business and small and medium organizations. And the idea is, how can we partner with colleges to do that and universities to do it?
Yeah, that is excellent. And you know, you saw some pretty big names in our partner slides like Volvo and some other ones, but we want to make sure that we let you know that this is not just for those enterprise levels as well. This goes down at the lowest level. Folks with even less than 50 employer workforce, they can take advantage of that. And the benefits for them are even greater, right? And it kind of falls on the bracket of what you're going to get. Are you going to get that 90% because you only have 10 people in your work in that employer that you know only has 10 people employed? Or are you going to get 40% because they have over 100 employees, over 500 employees?
Great.
So what is this apprenticeship things and why is it so difficult? Well, here's some of the items on registered apprenticeship programs. They come very structured, right? There's a structure on the job training set of competencies that apprentices have to learn while they go on the job. So apprentices do 40 hours a week, and we expect those 40 hours a week to get divided among identified competencies that the employers have identified as, hey, those competencies, those are the ones that are going to give me return on investment for this apprentice. So when I first onboard a person, how long am I going to take? How long is that new employee or that upskill employee going to start giving me return on investment based on this specific competencies for my business? Ghost Brow analyzes this and helps you push those requirements forward. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing with United Airlines in their apprenticeship program called Calibrate. they need to get their apprentices qualified on ACS requirements for safety. They put the first ACS requirements, that's the aviation requirements, to be able to work on maintenance on planes, which are the ones that they need to go ahead and tackle first so that they can start contributing on the return on investment for United. We analyze those. 2, related training instruction. This is where all of your organizations come in. This is the theory that the apprentices are learning in the classroom, in your faculties, or online through your faculties, that is. In apprenticeships, you require 144 hours per year of the program. Now, you might be thinking, well, my organization right now doesn't have 144-hour programs because our credits, the way that they work, that's okay. We work with that already. We've seen it done in Miami-Dade College. We've seen it done at Polytechnical University. We've seen it done at Frederick Community College in Maryland. So we know how this works. This related technical instruction is crucial because the learning outcomes of those courses that apprentices take need to match up to the competencies that the apprentices are learning while they're on the job with the employer. And we're on their job in the employer. We need to identify mentorships within the employer. Who's going to be helping Roger get this specific competency that's very unique to my business, right? Because every business has their own culture. We need to identify those mentorships. We call them journey workers. Reward for skill gains. Every apprenticeship program has a wage schedule. That is, that apprentices get incentivized every time they learn a little bit more. They learn a little bit more. Okay, once you reach 10 competencies out of my 20 competencies work process schedule or structural on-the-job training, we're going to go ahead and give you a raise. And after you learn maybe 15, we'll give you another raise. And after you learn all 20, we're going to give you another raise. So this incentivizes the apprentices. And this also incentivizes the employers because apprentices can start at a lower wage than a full-time employee in that occupation or in that position. That is, by law, they can go up to 35% of a journey worker's wage. And they can start producing return on investment for that employer after just 3 months. Finally, for your employees, for your apprentices, for your students, they leave with a national occupation credential issued by the Department of Labor, which is equivalent to a college degree in that specific occupation. This is huge for higher ed institutions that now can offer another product to your target market of students so that they can take this. And we already talked about those, the gap years, the explorers, the change careers. So what is the path to create a registered apprenticeship program? We're not hiding anything behind the curtain. This is the steps. We're going to be sharing this slide with you so you can see all the steps to getting your program registered. That is step 1. Employers identify a specific occupation that is in need. You go to your employer network. Hey, I know that AI is coming up in the world. Would you like to have AI in your workforce? And if not, why are you not doing that if you're falling behind? Let's sit down and look at the processes in your specific organization that can benefit from AI or from whatever. If you're in energy, maybe a solar panel installer, right? That's a very big one going on right now. You sit down with them and you analyze what their workforce needs are. They're going to get a contract 2 years from now, like Luma is preparing right now. They need to make business analysts, business processes faster. That's why they're leveling up, right? You sit down with them, you work through their work process schedule with a subject matter expert in that occupation, and you start hashing out what competencies our apprentice is going to follow to get to this new level, whether new hires or upskilling an existing workforce. 2, you cross-reference the occupation with the database of 1,200 registered programs, which is 378 occupations. You find out, okay, it looks like you are going to be going with AI. It looks like you're going to be going with solar panel installer. It looks like you're going to be going with cybersecurity. Our work process schedule that you worked out with the employer, it needs to match up to 80% of what is shown in that database so that the Department of Labor can approve it as an official registered apprenticeship program. 3, customize the work process schedule. Okay, it doesn't mean that you're going to change everything. You just need to tweak it a little bit. And the DOL is very receptive to this. They know that these programs are for the benefits of the business, right? They'll tweak it. Oh, it looks like you're not meeting 80%, but hey, AI is moving pretty fast. Cybersecurity is moving pretty fast. We need to actually take into account this occupation. Thank you for adding to us. 4, You submit all that paperwork. This includes the part of going inside your organization, inside the higher institution organization, of course, and finding out what is going to be the related technical instruction that employers are going to want for this apprentices. You get all that paperwork submitted to them. They take roughly about 90 days to give you an estimate. Step 5, you wait for approval. It takes some time because sometimes there's some back and forth, right? As Lewis is going through that right now. Identifying key resources that you're able to get from grants and workforce dollars that are out there. And step 6, once approved, typically 3 to 4 months, begins interviews in the hiring process. So with Luma and with this other company, some of them didn't even have to go through this process because they have already analyzed the employees they have internally that they want to level up, right? The folks that they know are ready to go to that manager role or to that new position that's opening within the company. Finally, step 7 is maintain compliance through programs and track performance. So once the employer is like, hey, let's do this. Let's go ahead and I got exactly the guys that I want to go ahead and move up to the next level. I would love to get this funding that's going to help me cover up to 90% of my costs on training this new person and even give me some breathing room throughout the length of this program. The DOL is going to be visiting you at least once per year to check up on your program, making sure that your apprentices are learning what you said was on the job training piece. Making sure that the students are learning what was in that related technical instruction, that they are getting any credentials or degrees or certifications that you promised in that registration process that they were going to get through your higher institutions. These are all the steps. So let me show you what we do.
Roger, can we go back to that one? Just to mention that a couple of things over that excellent process map, I would say about the steps. We currently partnership with we have a partner in Puerto Rico, particularly, that is Master Data Analysis, that is our related technical instructor for particular programs, but also this company helps help you or help or employers going through the steps 1 through 5 to get that approval, right? To get the paperwork together, to show you the checklist for that, to speed up the approval, because we understand, again, that approval can take additional time, additional effort, and then what we're saying, and we're going to focus right away on step 7. After that is where it goes route through the compliance, ensuring compliance of the program, is that we help totally in the whole process. So we are coming to you with a complete solution, as a matter of fact.
Excellent. Thank you, Luis, for adding to that. And in our messages, we had Adamaris that identify with this. Yes, sometimes you go through a 4-year degree and then you're trying to get into that job, and all of a sudden you just don't have job work experience to be able to get in that role. And this addresses that concern as well, right? You can go ahead and learn while you earn. Now, to Luis's point on what he was saying earlier, what is it that GoSprout helps your institution, your higher institutions do? Well, here's an example that we created for our Luma program. This is a cybersecurity program. This is a 2-year that breaks out into 3 years for the cybersecurity. This is IT right here. This is the related technical instruction and how it looks like. We outline all of the classes that the apprentices are going to take. This was approved by Luma Energy, of course. And they say, yeah, we want this because we want the folks that we're leveling up to move to this level. And we want them to have A+ essentials, network plus, IT project management, security plus. We don't have the 3rd year here because that wasn't allowed to share, but you can kind of get the idea. Now, Polytechnical University is the Registered Apprenticeship Program entity. They are the creators of this program. And when we went to Polytechnical and tried to get this program registered, it turns out that it was difficult for their cybersecurity to go ahead and meet the needs. So GoSprout, we work with them to identify these different courses. And then for the classes that they couldn't offer at the university, we look for them outside the university, such as master data analysis, to help cover those related technical instruction costs that the university was not able to meet with the constraints of this specific program. So not only do we help you get the program registered, not only do we go to the table with you to pitch this to employers, referencing back to those 8-player teams in your organization, but we also help you outline the related technical instruction and outsource the related technical instruction if your organization can't meet it, but you have the employer sitting right there. So again, why are people not doing it? Complexity, keeping compliance up to date, meeting filing deadlines for these benefits that we're talking about, 90% the tax reimbursement, stakeholder coordination, right? Meeting with the employer, meeting with the higher ed institution, meeting with the journey workers, the mentors that are going to be helping the apprentices, meeting with the apprentices, identifying the apprentices. All of this seems like a lot. So I'm going to quickly go for this last, we got about 5 minutes that we're going to go through this short demo. But our platform is all in on this, right? We do all that legwork with you to get your program registered. We do all that legwork with you to identify employers on your network and to bring employers in your area to the table with all these benefits. But our program also, our application handles all of this so that there's check boxes that they can clearly see, oh, I did this, I applied for the program, I requested support, I requested for funding got dispersed, that funding is getting dispersed to the RTI, that funding is getting dispersed to my employer. So what do? We accelerate reimbursement by digitizing this entire process. We track competency development so that whenever the DOL comes around to look, we show it. But that's not the main thing. That main thing is for employers to see where apprentices are at and when are you delivering on what you promised them when you set them down at the table. So we make sure you keep that promise. We automate compliance, making it easy for you to know if your program is compliant with what you registered or not. We streamline onboarding process. So we got interviews that you can just send a batch of interviews to employers so they can see, I like Roger, I like Louis, you know what? I don't like this guy over here. It looks like these two are going to be more beneficial to me. We got post-secondary benefits, work-based learning programs that higher persistence and completion rates. That is that, as I mentioned, only 33% of apprentices actually finish a registered apprenticeship program, but apprentices that use Ghost Proud, that number goes up by 50%, up to 88% of apprentices that are in Ghost Proud finish their registered apprenticeship program. Here are some of our partners that are now in our network. Of course, we're throwing even more out there, of course, just in case you were wondering. Already highlighted Frederick Community College, and I'm going to be just mentioning the ones on post-secondary. Our employer and our network partners, of course, are there to help us make things easier for you. So let me dive into a quick demo of the platform and our stakeholders. So you can find us at GoSprout.app. You can easily set up an appointment if you're interested in this. Say, hey, I saw the presentation today at HETS. We'd love to set up something for us to talk about this further. I have an employer network. They want to do it, but there's too much of a headache. We have employers that we haven't yet done this pitch for. Talk to us. We'll show you exactly how to do that. You can set up a meeting with us and we'll get started right away. Now, our platform, as I mentioned earlier, handles all of the stakeholders. That is the sponsor. These are the folks that get the program registered with the Department of Labor. In this case, it could be your institution. The employer, the people that go to the table and say, hey, I want people from your institution, or I want your institution to upskill my workforce. We identify the journey, we help the journey worker, that is the sponsor, the mentor that's going to be side by side with the apprentice. The educator, you're the sponsor and the educator, that's fine. You also have an educator portal where they can go in there and tinker with, okay, I'm going to be having this class on this day. This is the schedule. Let's send that out to our students. We integrate with your learning management system, all the famous ones that are out there. And finally, of course, the apprentices themselves, which are the key of this, right? And those could be pre-apprentices, any work-based learning program that you can think about. But here we're talking about registered apprenticeships. Here's how our platform looks from the apprentice point of view. Apprentices get an app that they can download on iOS or Android. This lets them know right off the bat, what are the competencies that they have? What are the skills that they're learning while they're in the class? What percentage are done? When is their next wage bump? What are all the courses that I'm taking? And this is the thing that they have to do every day. They click on that plus sign. They click on log work. They select the mentor that they work with from that employer that we already talked to them. They select the work days, and they can select multiple days here if they like. They select how many hours they did. They distribute those hours among the competencies. These are the competencies that we were talking about earlier, identified by the employer. They distribute the hours that they did among those competencies. Hey, today I did analyze tests. It went pretty good. They say any task that they did to accomplish that competency. This could be various ones. They say how they're feeling so that we can gauge and show the employers, look, there's a lot of folks having issues with data analysis. Why don't we go ahead and maybe add a little bit more RTI to that? Why don't we go ahead and add a couple more hours to that competency? So we gauge how they're feeling. And of course, we have them write feedback so they can look back and reflect and do better. At the end of this, we make this very game-like. And right now, there isn't any sound coming out of here. But this has a bunch of bells and whistles that makes it feel like you're in Duolingo, leveling up your career as opposed to leveling up a character. You submit that, and this gives you a nice animation here that lets you know you just went up on your competency, and that got sent to your mentor. When your mentor approves those hours and gives you feedback, the apprentice gets a notification back. So how does that look like for you, the sponsor, the owner of this program, the one responsible for this? I'm going to go ahead and log in here into our sponsor portal live. And we can see how this looks like for all of you. So here we have our our apprenticeship portal, and this is our main landing page. And in here you can see that this particular program has multiple programs registered: telecommunications, career, wind turbine. You can have one program and add multiple occupations to it. We've seen Miami-Dade College do this, right? They first had AI, then construction. Then they have one program, and they keep getting more employers to the table, and they keep getting better at creating that funnel for employers in the area, driving revenue up for their organizations. Now, at first look, and after everything we talked about, it might seem overwhelming for you to be here and be like, well, if I put somebody on this, how are they going to know that the program is marching along? We help you create the program right here by clicking on that program, and that kind of goes through it very quickly. But more importantly, once you have the program set up, you can kind of see this compliance. These are automated compliance icons. This lets you know if your program is marching, how you registered it with the Department of Labor. So right now I'm in trouble, right? Feedback and assessment is not happening. It's red. It's letting me know something's wrong. So even if you don't know the ins and outs of apprenticeships, if you come to this dashboard and you look at this program and you see this green and you see this red, instantly you know something's going on and I need to take action. You can click on this compliance icon and immediately know that the problem is that a journey worker has one apprentice that submitted one activity, Marta Flores in this case, and they haven't approved it in 5 days. Mike Dean hasn't approved the log for Marta for over 27 days. So you need to call Mike, you need to call Charles and let them know that they need to go ahead and and approve those logs for that apprentice so they can get that feedback. Same thing on the apprentice side. In this case, Dan Marino hasn't submitted a log in 164 days. What's going on there, Dan? Why are you not? Do you need support? Something happening? Is there trouble at the job? This is what makes our higher completion rate on Ghost Proud possible, instantly letting you know where the problem is. Now, that said, we're coming up on our last minute, but this is how you get some of the quick view of how programs are ran. Here's where you add all your partners. As you add more employers, you're able to have a CRM of all the employers you want to hit. The employers might not want to do anything, so you can manage the employer for them on their behalf. And here's where you see the progress of apprentices. This is something that the employer gets as well. How many hours out of their total program is done? How many hours of their related technical instructions done? The employer can go in here, or you can go in here and see where are those hours going to? How are they being distributed in here? What do these logs actually look like? It looks like learned about tools. Here's what the feedback, keep it up. Those little interactions happen within the app itself. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there and give us 5 minutes for any questions that might be lingering in your head. Again, I'll remind you that we want to work with you as partners, and this is going to be a no cost to you to get a program set up, to get employers to the table, and we actually create a revenue service, a revenue stream for you, because now we give you this program, and then we sell it to the employers, and you can mark that up at a 10%, at 15%, adding further revenue to your organizations. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Roger.
you.
And thank you, Heads, for inviting us. Any question can be in Spanish as well.
Yes.
Feel
Yes.
free again to interact. I think we put out a lot of information throughout the presentation, and there's a lot more to come. We're doing a lot.
Also, let me tell you that in the form that when you submit your name and your email for the certificate, we also add a question if you want to receive more information. And if you say yes, we will forward the emails to Roger and to Luis so you can set up either a call or send you more information and you can have direct access to them. And Roger will be sending us. Roger, you have our email, right? Because I know Luis have a busy the presentation in a PDF format because we want to share not only the recording for your reference, but also the presentation. Any question? This is the time. You can
Please.
put it in the chat and we can either in English or Spanish, as Luis said. And I see that the information was clear. It's the most important thing is that this is an opportunity free of charge, that you can definitely start taking advantage of it and learn more of it for the benefit of your students. Any other comment, Luis or Roger, that you want to add
No,
before we
yo
close?
diría que en español también
Claro.
mencionarle al grupo que en confianza, yo particularmente estoy localizado en Puerto Rico, así que llevamos de la mano en este proceso y estamos encantadísimos de nuevo de que esta oportunidad, más allá de compañías grandes, sabemos que hay empleadores, ¿no? En small and medium organizations que pueden tomar gran beneficio de estos fondos que definitivamente, como decíamos hace un rato, se pierden y definitivamente no es aceptable. Gracias a todos por la participación y gracias a Eds y a Yubelki por invitarnos.
Claro que sí. Recuerden que Go Sprout y Miami Tech son aliados corporativos, así que tenemos toda esa información. Roger, ¿algo más que quieras antes de cerrar? ¿Y dónde estás tú localizado, Roger? Where are you located for the benefits of the one in the US?
Thank you, Yubelkis. And I am in Miami, Florida. So if you're in the Miami region, and I would like to say the last thing that I will say is, and I'll say this in Spanish too, is, for example, Puerto Rico sent back around $22 million in workforce benefits last year. And we need to stop that, right? We need to be able to use all those benefits. And if you, any state that you're in, unless you're in California, California is the only state que sí usó todos los beneficios que fueron dados para ese estado. O sea, si tú estás en otro estado que no sea California, benefits went without using. So make sure you take advantage of this.
Oh, wow, definitely. We need to use those all the opportunities more now that you know that the academia is changing due to the new political roles of the new leadership. So everything that can help our students will be an asset for our institutions. So again, we have 1 minute left. Any other question? Remember, before you left, click on the link to request the certificate so you can receive it. Make sure you put the correct address, email address, because if not, it's gonna, you're not gonna receive it. Remember that this is an automatic a process that is made automatically. So if you have an error, we don't know how to correct that. We don't know your email, so it's important that.
Thank you very
Luis,
much. Appreciate it.
gracias. Happy weekend. The woman here in the chat, congratulations on our day. And
Whoa.
thank you, Roger. Thank you, Luis. We will continue this collaboration. And please let us know if you need any additional information. Gracias, Isari, for your
Thank you.
support over there. And see you soon. And take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Happy weekend to everyone. Let
You
me
too.
stop the recording. All right.